Massive day in UK politics overnight. I mentioned earlier in the show, Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon. Well, she has fallen on her sword after 8 years in office, and it comes on the back of an increasing pressure that warped gender recognition reform bill. Some of Scotland's most notorious male rapists then put into female prisons, and on it went last night when she gave her resignation speech. She made mention that it wasn't about immediate events. I don't know that anyone believes that. Joining me now, British political strategist, of course, former advisor to Prime Minister Tony Blair and Prime Minister Julia Gillard here in Australia, John McTernan. John, give us your honest view. Was it about recent events? Was that the tipping point? Because those measures in relation to gender and then the practice of the rapists in prisons were widely unpopular. Why did she go?
I think it's true when she says that she was tired. She's done 16 years in the top of politics. That's a long time. But it's also true, Nicola Sturgeon has always found it difficult to be unpopular. She loves to be loved. And on the issue of gender recognition, the SNP have done a thing they never do. They've gone ahead of the public. They thought they could just use their power to push this through. And I believe, Nicola Sturgeon used this reform to placate the left of her own party. The people who wanted independence now, she couldn't give that to them, so she gave them the Gender Reform Act. So she got caught out by the politics of her own party. And the irony is, she ran an entire career against the Tory party. The Tory party are speaking for the majority of people in Scotland at the moment by calling that legislation into the UK, saying it can't go ahead. And so, yes, she's basically created circumstances in which she, Nicola Sturgeon, is no longer speaking for the Scottish public. Clearly isn't. The Tories are speaking for Scotland. That contradiction has been difficult for her.
So where does that leave, well, two things here. Where does it leave Keir Starmer? Because if he's elected, he's already said he'll take her laws and make them national. And then what, more broadly, does her vanishing from the post mean for Scottish independence?
Oh, look, I think what happens with the Gender Recognition Act in Scotland now is there's a process. It's been called in by the UK government. Nicola Sturgeon said she was going to take it all the way to the Supreme Court, but I suspect she had legal advice that the law conflicts with UK equalities legislation. I think something will be in the end sorted out about UK equalities legislation and the right for people to get easier changes to their birth certificate. It will become much more of a technical issue than a political issue, I suspect. In terms of the cause of independence, we've had two titans, two giants really. Alex Salmond, who was First Minister and ran the referendum campaign, predecessor to Nicola Sturgeon, and now Nicola Sturgeon. The next person who is going to be, Angus Robertson, Kate Forbes, people nobody in the world has heard of. Very few people know them in the UK. Everybody around the world knows about Nicola Sturgeon, knows about Alex Salmond. I think that's going to be a huge blow to the independence movement, that they don't have a figure as strong, as famous, as well-known, and they don't have anybody who's as good a communicator, because independence in the end will lead to a fall in living standards in Scotland, but they've made it into a popular cause. The rhetoric and the passion, I don't think she has a successor who can do the same thing that she did.